Welcome to Heart and Mind Talks, a podcast for female entrepreneurs navigating life and business. I'm Vanessa Ortali, award-winning speaker and coach. Join me and expert guests as we uncover how to make success simpler, more fun, and feel truly aligned to you. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with someone who could use a little extra love and inspiration. Let's go. This is a very special episode for me, and as I pressed record, I actually felt my heart racing, which is why I know I need to do this podcast. Today, I'm going to share with you 17 truths that I have discovered to be true to me in life and business. And it is so important for me to say to me because I want you to recognize that all of our journeys are completely different. But I want to share these truths for many different reasons. Number one, which is why when I said that I felt nervous pressing record, I'm doing it for me because so much of my life I have spent way too much time caring about what people think of me. And if I'm really honest, I meditated about it this morning before I recorded this podcast. There is still a little part of me that gets nervous. The little girl inside of me wants to be heard, wants to be loved, wants to be accepted, wants to be understood. But I also know the adult in me, the healed version of me, just continues to soothe that fear and letting her know you are okay, you are safe, we are good. This might all be a simulation anyways, but at the end of the day, it's okay because I am safe, I am good, I am okay. I don't need other people to approve of me anymore, to accept me. It is okay. I can say that a million times. So I want you to hear that too. I want you to know that whatever you believe, whatever you think is perfect. It does not matter whether people praise you or hate you. None of it matters. What matters is you know who you are, you feel good inside, and you do not play small for anyone, no matter what. I also have this core fear in me. And I've talked about cognitive behavioral therapy before. When I did cognitive behavioral therapy, I had this fear that I wouldn't be loved and I would be alone forever. And however that trauma came to be, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, I do still feel that trigger coming up. And so let's talk about triggers for a second, because even in me talking about these 17 truths today, they're a little controversial and you might get triggered. And I want you to know that triggers are okay. Our triggers are a window to something deeper inside, whether we are aware of what's going on inside or not. So even in you being triggered, it's so much power to learn how to move through your triggers, to process them, to examine them, and also to let them go. Your triggers and your stories and what's going on does not have to be your truth. So when I talk about these controversial 17 things today that are going to make you love me or hate me, I want you to know I'm not being controversial just for the sake of being controversial. I believe that in speaking these truths, it is freeing me because I am my I don't give an F era. Especially after giving birth to Maverick, I'm kind of like, just let it go. Just put it all out there. I want you to know who I am. I want you to feel seen. I want you to know so much in my life because of my own experiences and wanting to be loved and accepted. I also go through different experiences and I see certain things that are going on. And then I wonder, am I the only person that's seeing this? Like, am I the only one? And maybe you think that too. Maybe in certain experiences in the world, whether it be politics or whatever, things happen and you think, what? Like, am I the only person that sees this? And in me sharing my truths and whether you agree with them or not, I want you to feel seen. I want you to know you're not the only one. And if you don't agree, that's okay too. Because in sharing our truths, we can still have powerful conversations and not agree. We can still have powerful conversations that expand us and how we think and how we approach the world. So I hope in me sharing these, it helps you move into your expansion, allow you to feel heard, and also give you permission to just show up and say, like, who cares? Because we are so done right? We are so done with caring about what other people think, other people who don't even love themselves, who hate their lives. Like, no more, right? You are amazing. Know who you are, know what you believe. And even in that statement, that's so hard for some people. Oftentimes, when I'm working with my clients, they don't know who they are, what they believe, how they want to show up in the world, what they want their relationships, their conversations to look like. So even when I'm saying that, ask yourself, like, do you know what you want? Do you know who you are? Who you are is the most powerful, beautiful journey that we could ever do on this earth. Discover who you are, discover what you believe, good or bad. And then also not judge yourself or others for your beliefs. It's okay. I get why people believe different things than me. It doesn't mean that I would go that way. But being open to changing your beliefs, being open to hearing other people, and then also knowing who you are and knowing what you believe, I think is so important for us to show up to support ourselves and to support others. Now, let's get into it, right? Well, I must also say that the fear is real. Know that the fear of showing up is a real thing, but your fear doesn't have to stop you. I know you have goals and dreams in your heart, and if you do, please do not let the fear stop you. We all have fear. I told you I had fear even pressing record today. We all have fear. Do it anyways. I know it's so cliche, right? Feel the fear and do it anyways, but it's true. What do you do with that fear? Move through it, change it, transform it. The fear does not have to stop you. You get to see the fear, feel the fear, move through, and show up in the fear. Why? Because you know who you are and you know that you have something important to do on this earth. You have a purpose. Now, I'm going to share with you the purposes, and the beliefs that I have grown to believe through my own experiences. There are 17 here, so get ready. I'm going to tell you the truth that I have learned. Then I'm going to give you a little explanation for each. My first one, the coaching industry is lying to you. I am part of the coaching industry, and I want you to know so much of the coaching industry, there's this icky feeling that they need to make you believe that you are not good enough and that you need to buy into this masculine bro energy and do it that way in order to be successful. I have been on sales calls, ended up in tears because of the guilt and the mind manipulation in order to buy and in order to sell. And I want you to know that it doesn't have to be that way. I also know so many people who are out there coaching who have no idea what they're talking about, who are saying things that they have no experience in, and there's so much smoke and mirrors. They make it seem like they're so much more successful than they actually are. So I want you to know, if you feel drawn to a coach, awesome. If you don't, that's okay too. You do not need anyone to help you, but the right people that you need will come into play when you need them. Transformation does not come from a template. It comes from truth and it comes from embodiment. Be careful of the people that you do trust and make sure they are embodying who they are. And if you smell something funny, you're probably right. Go with your intuition. And if you're a coach and you feel like you don't belong in the clique or in the coaching industry, it's because you are here to do it differently. So know that if you don't buy into what other people are saying, that's perfect. That's what you're here for. Number two is that you don't actually need boundaries. Everybody's always talking about, these are my boundaries. These are my boundaries. And so often boundaries are created from fear. You don't need boundaries. What you need is self-trust and alignment. When you are in alignment, you don't need a set of rules to determine how you're going to show up in that day and what you're going to do in your life. I do see how boundaries can be beneficial if you do not have that self-trust to help you create self-discipline and self-leadership. But once you have that, please trust yourself that in each moment you will know exactly what to do. One day you might do one thing, the next day you might do the next, and that's okay. You may do things that are unexplained, but when you trust yourself and you're making decisions from alignment, you will always make the right decision for you. Planning too far ahead and creating all these boundaries for yourself, honestly, it is just a sense of control and fear coming in the way. Let it go. Plan less, be more present, trust yourself, love yourself, and know that you will show up the way you need to. Number 3, female friendships are keeping you stuck. I have had, and I have said this many times, I've had a lot of difficulty in my female friendships growing up. I have since continued to transform those, and it is no coincidence that I accidentally built a female community because I needed to heal those relationships. I created a female community because I was seeking something different. So much of female friendships is based in gossiping and putting people down and saying things that you think you want people to hear, right? Someone breaks up with their boyfriend and they just want to hear, oh, he's such an ass. You're so much better. No, we do not need to put other people down. Female friendships can be about support, encouraging people. We do not need to be jealous of one another. We do not need to compete against one another. And we can have transformational conversations that do not just aid our insecurities. So much of the female culture is based in, oh, we have these insecurities. Let's just say things that continue to make those things true. If you're insecure about how you look, oh, no, it's okay. You look great. While so many of those things are said in order to be supportive, we're actually doing ourselves a disservice when we don't call each other out. To me, female friendships are the most powerful when we have, number one, self-awareness, and when we can have open, honest conversations and people can receive that. We can disagree, agree, and still have these beautiful conversations built in curiosity and love. And that's exactly why I'm doing this recording for you today, having these beautiful conversations rooted in love and honesty and openness. If your female friendships aren't expanding you and or even challenging you to continue to grow, they are most likely keeping you stuck and continuing the habits and cycles that you have been creating for so long. Just because your female friendships were a certain way in elementary school and in high school, we do not need to perpetuate that drama. You get to change the conversation. We get to change how we show up. Women get to have fun. We get to have amazing conversations. We get to support each other and be successful and deal with our own stuff, our own insecurities, our own fears, our own triggers, and not project them onto one another. Number 4, hustle and grind is not leadership. It is a trauma response. So often, and I'm speaking for myself here too, I have experienced this. I was in hustle and action mode because I was scared. I was scared that I was not enough. And I was consistently pushing and forcing in order to do more, to be more, to have more, because I did not feel confident in who I was. And all of my action was coming from lack, fear, and insecurity. When I started to truly find love and confidence and alignment within myself, I was still in action, but the action was coming from a completely different place. It was coming from inspiration and joy. And guess what? I did a lot more in less time because the action and the momentum and creativity coming from that action was phenomenal. When we have blinders on and we are in this like hustle and go mode and we're not aware of what's going on around us, the things that we create from that place are often not aligned. And then we wake up 20, 30 years from now, maybe even less, hopefully less. And we think, how the heck did I get here? I don't want you to be there. Please know that you can take action from alignment and find success. And when you are in constant masculine hustle mode, especially speaking to the women out there, see what fear is driving that action and that response. You get to have action. And this is where so many people also get confused. They think feminine energy is just like sitting on your butt and doing nothing. No. A healthy balance, feminine, masculine energy within you is complete alignment, space so that you have the inspiration and then you take action on that inspiration when you get it. But there's no part of force and making it happen there. You have the download, you have the inspiration, and you move with complete clarity and confidence moving forward. Does that make sense? This is all about moving yourself from doing to being. And when you start being, everything that you create from there, pure magic. Number 5, your spirituality and spiritual beliefs are actually enabling your fears. This is kind of a funny one, but I just see so much of the spiritual world stuck in healing, stuck in needing to fix and needing crystals and superstitions to make themselves feel whole. While all of those things are useful, Reiki, crystals, whatever it is, pick a spiritual practice, even meditation. All of these tools are beautiful to help to remind you who you are, to help you remember your power. However, once you know your power, you actually don't need those things anymore. And when we get stuck in this healing cycle and we need to do all these things in order to feel good, you don't. You don't need that. I used to meditate for an hour. Now I can take a deep breath and feel exactly how I felt in an hour of meditation in 1 second. And that is power. Stop outsourcing your power. Start believing in yourself. Once you remember who you are, you don't need a crystal in your pocket to make you feel more powerful because you just know. So I believe the spirituality helps you to get to this knowingness. And then there's this next phase of spirituality where you kind of let it go. You don't need all that stuff to awaken anymore. You are awakened. And when you are awakened, you don't need to be reminded. You also don't judge yourself and don't judge others when they are not awakened. So much of the spiritual world is so busy attacking those who are not awakened. That is not spirituality, in my opinion. Spirituality is rooted in love and knowingness of who you are in your soul before you even came onto this earth. That beautiful, beautiful soul that you are. And that soul, just like God, however you want to feel it in your body, knows who everybody is. It does not matter. And so this spirituality does not put you on a pedestal. And if you still think you're on a pedestal because you are spiritual, that shows me that you're not spiritual. You are using the tools to enable your fears. For example, if you have a fear about money and you refuse to put your purse on the floor because of a superstition that you think, oh, I can't put my purse on the floor, else it's going to take away all my money. That's not power. You're giving your power away to a superstition. When you know how truly powerful you are, it doesn't matter. None of it matters. You're not going to outsource who you are and what you believe to other people. You don't need someone to do Reiki on you to heal you because you know the power of your body. Now, again, all these tools, if you need a reminder throughout your life, like awesome, but do not mask your fears and control through spirituality. Number 6, modern feminism was actually built on fear. I actually don't consider myself a feminist based on today's culture because I see so much hate towards men, towards the masculine within modern feminism. I believe in love of men, of women, of equality across the board. I also love gender norms and when women are in their feminine and men are in their masculine, there's a beautiful space for both. We do not need to take over. Men don't need to take over feminine energy. Masculine women don't need to take over masculine unless that's what they're pulled towards. I actually don't care. But at the end of the day, I don't consider myself a feminist in today's culture. I just consider myself a humanist and really root what I believe in love. Love for women, love for men, love for humans. And just like Mother Teresa would never go to an anti-war rally because what you focus on expands. And when I see so many people being an activist for feminism rooted in hate, I think it just continues to perpetuate the problem. So for me, I'm going to continue to root myself in love and just expand that outwards and know that what I believe and how I feel will continue to expand into this world. And so, whatever you believe, please make sure that it is not rooted in fear and lack. Know your power and know who you are at your core. Number seven, the boss babe culture is actually burning you out, and female success this way is unsustainable. There are so many amazing things that the boss babe culture did for us as women. It showed us what was possible, and that was awesome. It expanded our truth of what we could charge and how we could show up. And a lot of it was also rooted in masculine and how men do business. And while it might work for a man, now there is this new phase of how do women actually start showing up and being successful? Because it is not sustainable for women to continue to show up as men. We can create success in a feminine way. And this is this next wave of success, I believe, especially when working with my clients. I see this all the time. How do we be successful while balancing our feminine body, our cycle, our relationships, our family? I believe it is possible. I see that it is possible. I am living proof that it is possible. So tune into you and your needs, own your femininity, and know that men and women get to build different businesses and get to build success differently. Own it, because it is not sustainable and it's going to burn you out. If you don't feel good, please do something about it, because I see so many women coming to me with multi-million-dollar businesses, exhausted and burnt out because something has to give. And they have created success, but at a cost, and it is not sustainable. So please know that success does not have to burn you out, and you get to feel good while building your empire. And if you do not fix this belief in yourself that you have to build success the masculine way, it doesn't matter if you have $5 in the bank or $5 million in the bank. You're always going to come back to you are not enough. And you're always going to have this anxious feeling inside. And this is why shifting this mindset and tuning into who you are is so important, regardless of what's in the bank. Because once you are happy, it is not, the whole saying, it is not, you don't get success. Oh, now I'm going to screw up the saying. I always do. I just jinx myself. But when people are like, oh, I'll be happy when. No, you will be happy now, and then you will create the success. It's the same with this boss babe culture and burnout. You will figure out a different way, and then success will come. I promise you, because having success just monetary, I don't think that's just success. So really start evaluating, what does success mean to you? And if it's just monetary, I guarantee you there's some fear and lack in that. Number 8, your looks do matter, and we need to stop pretending that they don't. And it's not going to be in the way that you think, because now in our culture, there's this body positivity movement, and there are so many amazing things that have happened in this body positivity movement, but I need you to remind yourself that when you walk into a room, who you are, your energy, your body presents itself before you do. And I'm not saying you have to be a certain way, you have to dress a certain way, because people can also tell if you're faking it, if you're just dressing a certain way, but deep down, you don't love yourself. But when you love yourself, you show up in a completely different way. Your priorities change, who you are changes, how you fuel yourself changes. At your core, when you know who you are, when you love yourself, you eat different, you move different, you dress different. You are who you are. And when you don't, we can all see it. Now, I don't want that to scare you, but maybe I do, because I want you to start putting yourself first. I want you to know that you're not fooling anyone, including yourself. If you're not happy, make the changes now, because the way you feel about yourself will show on the outside. I promise you. When I first started really embodying all these concepts that I'm talking to you today and on my social media and every time I speak, people started to tell me, oh my gosh, you look amazing. You're just glowing. You're so beautiful. And I wasn't doing anything different. I still had the same wardrobe. I still was exactly the same weight. I looked different. I showed up different. I spoke different. Be that person. Please don't live as if you're already dead. Because if you have goals and you want to show up differently in your life, you get to do that now. Please don't give up on your life. One of my friends was positively feeling like crap. And she's like, I got to get my health in order. And she did. She started waking up early, working out, and committed to herself. A year later, she lost a ton of weight, but it wasn't about the weight. She showed up different. And I am so proud of her because now when she walks into a room, she feels confident in who she is. And it's about so much more. It shows her determination, her love for herself, her consistency, her persistence. How you show up shows people your priorities and how you feel about you. So get your priorities straight and start taking the next best step to making that happen for you. Number 9, what if you're not overwhelmed? You are just underexpressed and really, really tired of pretending. And I know this to be true because when you have creativity and when you have inspiration and you don't take action, there's the overwhelm, there's the depression, there's the anxiety. When you stop showing up for you and you are not showing up as the person that you want to be in this world, and you do not take action on the inspiration and the ideas that you have, that is a recipe for disaster. Your schedule is not the problem here. You are not overwhelmed because you don't have enough time. And maybe there's some elements there and there's some other tips there, but what I'm getting at here is suppression. What are you suppressing in your life? Because that has a cost. What is inaction and suppression actually costing you? Overwhelm, anxiety. I see so many people having inspiration and not taking action, and it does have a physical effect on their body. So start listening to your inspiration and take one step every single day to express yourself. Your life is your stage, is your platform. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to have the book. You don't have to do it all. Just show up the way you want to show up today. When you go to the store, express yourself the way you want to be expressed and stop playing small and or thinking it isn't the right time or you have to have a different environment or situation in order to make it happen. You don't. Start living your life and embodying who you are today. Express yourself. Number 10, Canada is keeping entrepreneurs small. And I am Canadian, so I am allowed to say this. I I have loved Canada for many different reasons, but I have always felt more like myself in the US American entrepreneurial culture. When I go to the States and I connect with other entrepreneurs, I love their dreams and they just have so much energy and believe that anything is possible. The American dream energy is real. And I love that about the US. And maybe there's some positive and negatives to that, and that's okay. But in Canada, we are so used to playing it safe, to following the rules, to not standing out, to being polite, and I really do think it's doing us a disservice. While people in Canada are so kind, I often wonder how many entrepreneurs and amazing people this energy is stifling. So please just be aware of your surroundings and know what your surroundings are trying to do to you, whether that be your country or your family or your friends, because who you surround yourself with matters. It doesn't mean that that has to be who you are, but an awareness of it will allow you to break free. Please be aware of what you are consuming around you and know that you get to be CEO energy or whatever energy you want anywhere in the world. So I choose to embody the energy that I want, regardless of who I am. And I am just very aware of the culture that I was brought up in and how I want to be different and how I want to show up. It is kind of like the frog in boiling water theory, when the theory is, if you haven't heard it before, so if you put a frog in boiling water, he's going to jump out, right? But if you put a frog in normal water and then bring it to a boil, the frog will never jump out and he'll die. Why? Because it's that slow simmer effect. He doesn't even notice he's dying and the water is boiling because he's in the environment. Don't be the frog in the water that dies in that energy and in that environment. Please continue to be aware of what you are consuming outside of you, because I do not want your creativity and who you are to die in your culture wherever you are. Number 12, you are not a victim to anything. Everything is happening for you to show up as the best version of you. This one can be really hard for people to accept because we are taught in a society to be a victim, right? Things are happening to us. And some of the things that people have experienced, yes, are not are not good. They are not nice. And while certain things in our experience we have gone through, you get to choose. Are you a victim to it, or are you going to allow that experience to transform you? Everything has the ability to transform you. Illness, trauma, all of the above. You will teach people how to treat you, and every experience is showing you how to continue to step up and expand. Why? Because everybody's reaction to an experience is different. So when something happens to you, start paying attention. What's this bringing up in me? How do I feel about this? What are my fears that are coming up and happening? And is that truth? Is that something I want to live by? And so without going into all of the details, I once went on a date and this guy kind of just said something and it made me feel really icky inside. And I remember leaving and thinking, well, that guy was supposed to keep me safe. Like he was supposed to be my safe spot. And I felt so violated and so not safe in that experience. And I went, no, it is nobody's job to keep you safe but you. You have to know you are safe. You don't need safety or love from anybody else to make you feel safe. And while, yeah, safety and love from external feels good, but it feels even better when you have the stability within you and you don't need it from outside of you. And so in that moment, I'm like, thank you. I needed to meet this man to remind me that safety starts from within. So within every experience, whether it be my mom's death or, falling out with friends or whatever, the good and the bad experiences, they're all here to teach you something if you allow it. Every experience can be a vehicle to transformation. You don't have to let it ruin you, because I have seen so many people go through experiences and it ruins them. Now, sometimes that ruin is also amazing too, because sometimes we need to be torn down to rebuild. But just know you are not a victim. So stop acting like it and stop making your past who you are, because you get to choose today who you are. At some point, you have to stop blaming who you are in your past on other people. You are now an adult, and it is time for you to take responsibility for your life and know that you are not a victim to anything that has happened to you or continues to happen to you or will happen to you. Everything is a lesson and a gift to help you show up as the best version of you and get the most out of your life. Number 13, your thoughts are not facts, yet they are shaping your entire life. What do I mean by this? We have so many thoughts and beliefs and stories going through our mind, and we believe all of them to be true. And if we are not aware of the stories that we're telling ourselves, so for example, we're walking down the street and somebody looks at us and we create a story or a thought about it. And we think, oh, that person just gave me a dirty look because I have this outfit on. Well, what? Like, why are we creating these things to be true? Or that person looked at me in that way because they're a certain race or I'm a certain race. Like, we gotta stop. Start noticing when you start creating stories and making them to be true. They are not facts. Start looking at your experiences as just experiences and stop. Stop putting a meaning to them. Stop putting a story to them. Just stop, period. End of story. Once you stop the stories and that momentum, your life will start to change, because all of those stories are lying to you and keeping you stuck in your fears, in your insecurities, in your trauma, in your past. And once you start challenging and shifting the stories and thoughts and beliefs, I tell you, your whole world will look different. Your relationships, your career, anything you want to change, it is right there ready for you. I say this often and I truly believe it. One of the most powerful things you can do is to question everything, including yourself. And when you start questioning your beliefs, questioning your thoughts and thinking, why do I believe that? Where did that come from? Do I want that to be my truth? that is when you can start to create and figure out who you are and how you want to show up in the world. Because chances are those thoughts and beliefs and stories you're creating in your mind aren't coming from you. They're coming from your environment and what you've been told to believe, whether it be your culture, your country, your family, your friends, and you get to start choosing who you are and what you want your life to look like today. Number 14, your peace is more profitable than your productivity. So often I see this. I mean, I see it every single day. People come to me as a business and mindset coach to help them with their strategy, their productivity, their timing, their scheduling. And what they really need is inner peace. And I even saw this within me. It comes back to action and where it's coming from. We want to always be doing more, but the real power and the real flex is when we are happy and peaceful inside. We get to do a lot less and have a lot more impact. I've said this example before, but it is just so important to me in my life. I was watching the movie Inside Out, and if you haven't seen it, it's a Pixar movie, and it depicts the brain and how all of our emotions show up, and there's happiness and sadness. And when I was watching this movie, I thought, okay, what are the majority of the emotions going on in my brain? And it was sadness. And I didn't want that to be true. And when I started to transform that to happiness and peace, everything became so much more clear. I started to attract very different people, whether it be clients or friends or even my romantic partner. Inner peace has always been my cornerstone. And I always say to myself, nothing is worth losing my inner peace over. And that helps me to make decisions in my business, in my life, and in my relationships. The people that you want to attract into your life, whether it be personally or professionally, they're not attracted to who you say you are. They are attracted to who you are, the energy that you give off, and the person that you show up as, because we can all feel it. Human beings are not static. We know. And oftentimes we're attracted to people that also show us what we need to continue to work on within ourselves. But when you have inner peace, I am telling you, you show up differently and everyone starts to show up differently around you. You know how when you're around certain people, you think, I just love being around them. They make me feel so good. Inner peace is that because you start to be that cornerstone and whatever is stronger will prevail. If you're around people who are super negative and you start to pick up on that, that just shows me that your happiness and your peace needs to be even stronger. So have that foundation, get that foundation, figure out what your foundation is. Is it peace? Is it happiness? What is that thing for you that is your cornerstone that you want to embody every day? Because nothing is worth giving that up. And live from here and take action from here. Create from here. And this actually connects so nicely to the next one. Number 15 is that you don't need more strategy. You need to remember who you are. And I mean this from a very, very, very deep level. You might also want to, if this connects to you, I want you to do an I am meditation of really just sitting down, being still for a second and saying, I am, and seeing what comes to you. I mean this on just such a soul level. So if you imagine being a soul, let's pretend you're in an auditorium and there's a bunch of souls there and they call your number to go down to earth. I want you to remember that soul that existed before coming onto earth. And they tell you, okay, here's your human experience and here's what's going to happen. You're going to go onto earth, but when you come through, you're going to forget everything. You're going to forget who you are. And your journey is to remember who you are. And you think, yeah, I can do this. But we get a little stuck along the way, and that's okay. I think that's what makes it fun. And sometimes the strategy can help you remember who you are. But once you know who you are, and I think you can see some common themes in many of these truths that I'm sharing with you today. Once you remember who you are, you don't need the strategy. You just need to know and connect to the truth of who you are. And this isn't about, what you've been through or all that you've created. No, no. It's about your actual soul. And so I think about this sometimes. So I think about being lost in the woods and trying to find my way out and finally finding my way out of the woods. And when I walk out into this huge open area, I see all these souls greeting me and they're like, she's here, she's here. And honestly, I go here so often in my meditations. And I just feel it's just all of my people, all of my souls that I was with before coming onto earth. And it makes me feel like home and it reminds me of who I am. And then I remind myself to take this visualization to the next phase. So often, once people have found that home piece, that home base, people want to go back into the woods and find everybody else who's lost. And I want to encourage you, and this is actually a visual, and maybe I've morphed it through over time. And this is a visual that we did in Sarah Landon's community, actually. And if you, I did an interview with her. She's actually my first interview. You can go back and listen to that. But so often we want to go in and find all the people that are lost. And I want to encourage you to stand in that home base and just shine your light so bright and sing so loud so that people follow the light and follow the music and they will find you too. Because when you are rooted in who you are, everyone will find you. And I remember, this is just kind of a goofy example, but I like using examples. Remember Amy Schumer was interviewed one time and he said, "Oh man, like it looked like you became famous overnight." And she said, "I really wasn't. Like I was just always Amy Schumer, and then one day the world just found out who I was." But you have to know who you are. You have to know what coming home feels like. And it's not about your experience and using your experience to remind you of how powerful you are. Like I mean going back to your soul. Who is your soul? And this actually also helps with number 17, which you'll notice and you'll see that connection. But please just remember who you really are and the power that you really have. You know, it's like it's a little matrixy, but I promise you, once you know who you are, everything that you create from that space is different. You become the transformation in this world. You become the evidence in this world that it's possible. So be that evidence for other people, even if you didn't have it for yourself. And that's why I'm also doing this podcast, to be the evidence for you. Please know that you are enough and you don't need to do anything on this earth to validate that. And when you know who you are, you know that. You know your worth. You know that you're enough and your presence is enough. And the way that you carry yourself is just different. We all see those people. And I hope that I'm one of those people to you. Be one of those people to somebody else. We're almost done. Only two more. This is so exciting. Okay, number 16. Time is an illusion. You do not need better time management. You need better priorities. Busyness and being busy is not a flex. I don't even use that word anymore. I never use the word busy. I choose to use the word full and abundant. Time becomes such a trade for people. It becomes an excuse for people. They're always trading their time for money, trading their time for happiness. And it becomes an excuse. I can't do that because I don't have time. And I know you notice this too. The busiest people get the most done. Why? Because they have priorities and they know what is important to them. They know what makes them feel good. They do those things and they do less of the things that don't matter. And this is where when people come to me and they're like, "Oh, I'm so busy." Honestly, 80% of the time, they're doing all the wrong things and they're doing things to make themselves feel busy. Are you being busy? Are you busy being busy? Or are you doing the things that are actually moving the needle forward and that support you and fill you up? Do they align with the person that you want to be and how you want to show up in the world? Because I truly believe that less is more. So, how do we get really focused, take out all the stuff that does not matter, and that just makes you feel better and makes you think like you're doing something? And how do we do less? Focus on less. It's like when people have goals and then they just spend the whole time thinking about the goal and they've spent so much time thinking about it and then never done it. And they're like, "I'm exhausted just thinking about it." Well, stop thinking about it and stop wasting time. Stop wasting time thinking about things that don't matter, doing things that don't matter, scrolling. If you were to actually just stop and start doing a time audit on your day and start being very specific about how you spend your time, you will have so much more time to do the things that matter to you. And every single year, I continue to ask myself, how do I do less? How do I move slower? And how do I do less? And every time I do that, I actually move the needle even more because I am doing more of the things that matter and less of the things that do not matter and do not fill me up. So start doing a time audit. Like, what don't you enjoy? What don't you want to do? And I'm not saying from a fear place, because oftentimes people come to me like, I don't want to do this. Yeah, because you're scared. It's not about not doing the things because you're scared, but it's about doing the right things to actually move you towards your goals, whatever those goals are. It's the whole 80-20 rule, right? Okay, so 80% of results come from 20% of effort. And it is so true, right? So we want to just make sure, what is that 20% of effort to create that 80% of results and cut out all the other crap that you do not need to be doing. And the last one, number 17, I did. Oh, this is a very, very present one for me. And I gave it number 17. 17 is actually my favorite number. I was born on the 17th day of June. And it just is so important to me. And this is a truth that I am learning to be true this year. The truth is, number 17 is you came to this earth for your love of people and to partake in the human experience. Stop taking life so seriously. And this is something that I'm really embodying this year because so much of my life I've hated people. But I really, really have come to a greater understanding that my hatred for people has come from a place of pure fear. Pure fear of not being liked, which is why I'm doing this podcast. Not being liked, not being accepted, being scared of what other people will do to me and think of me. But as I've grown my self-love and my self-trust, I've realized, like, I don't need to be scared of people anymore. I also spent so much of my life in judgment of myself and judgment of others. Also knowing that judgment was from fear. So fun. But in releasing judgment towards myself and others comes freedom. And this is my next growth and my next expansion, is just continuing to be very aware of when I'm in judgment of myself and others and reminding myself I came here for love, because that's all it is. I am love. Life is about love. And if people piss me off, because, I still get pissed. I'm still human. I still get triggered. Now I just know the tools to move through faster. And if I ever get frustrated, I just remind myself and remind my little girl, like, you don't need to be scared. What are you scared of right now? Right? I just tune in. What's actually coming up for me? Is there fear coming up? Like, what's that trigger? Lean into trusting myself. Like, I got this. I got this. And what also helps is to remind myself of their soul, right? I talked about remembering who you are. Well, remember who other people are. Remember their soul and realize that when they're pissing you off, they're probably being triggered and they're not living their highest self either. And so give them that grace to grow and to evolve the way that they need to without judgment. They're going through their own journey too, and their journey is perfect for them because they are a master and an expert in their life too, and their experience and their journey, right? There is no judgment. It does not matter. Let's use the simulation as an example. And I'm not saying it to be true. I'm just saying if we were all in a video game and some people wanted to come into this earth experience and choose to be homeless, and others drug addicts, and others famous, and others a singer, and others like musician. Cool. Like, good for them. It is all good. Who are we to judge their experience? We don't know why they came here. We don't know what their lessons are. And when we think we know better for another person and what their lessons are, that's just on us. And what if your mind doesn't know the difference between judgment towards yourself or somebody else because they just feel that ickiness in your body? Well, I am not wasting that toxicity in my body judging somebody else and my mind thinking that was towards me. That is not fair towards my body. Just like your mind doesn't know whether it's happening in real life or in your mind. What if it didn't know if you were talking about someone else or yourself? Like that's just pure toxicity going on in your body and it's just not worth it. So please remember who you are. Have grace and be gentle on yourself and others. And remember that our core truth is love for ourselves, is love for the world, is love for others, and just allow other people to live their journey and not judge their experiences or where they're at in this world. And I know it's so much easier said than done, but when we start to continue to embody that, that's when we become the example in this world that it can be done differently and that we can have a different life and feel differently doing it. So just remember not to take life so seriously because none of this really matters anyways. We all go back to the same place. We all came here alone, go back to it alone. And what if this whole experience was just like a dream and we literally woke up at the end of this and we're like, oh shit, like that was fast. Like to us right now, and this kind of goes back to the time thing, like time is an illusion. I could go down a whole rabbit hole on that because I've been in so many experiences where I really feel like time is just happening at the exact same time, right? If you've gone back to, I went back to my university and I literally felt like I was that 20-year-old girl again on a university campus. And I've had so many experiences where I just feel like all of my timelines are happening at the exact same time and it is just wild. And so what if we all just wake up one day and we think, oh wow, like it felt like 2 seconds, but here on earth, it feels like 100 years, right? Like what is time? And it's just so fascinating. I'll never forget one of, my friends told me about their friend who did an acid trip. And the acid trip was literally, I think it was 15 minutes. And they thought they were gone for 10 years. And they are like, I learned an entire language. I met these people. And it's just wild. There's so much that we don't know and we don't understand. So let's just not take it so seriously, but continue to show up and share with the world who you are, just like I'm trying to do here, right? I remember this example. If the world was a market and you had to bring and sell something at this market, your gifts at this market, what would you do? Like, what would you bring if you had to sell them at this market? Would you bring a craft? Would you bring, like, what would you bring? What would be your gift? And to me, honestly, this would be my gift. Like, it would be my gift to support you, to share my knowledge, to help you remember who you are, to provide guidance, to show you how you're holding yourself back and to help you just show up as the best version of you. Like I would just be that little coach. I don't want to say little, I would be that amazing coach at the market. And so honor who you would be at the market and share that with the world. And I hope me and sharing my gifts with you also help you. I hope some of these truths resonate with you. Again, they might make you love me or hate me, and that's okay. I'm just showing up as me, and I want to make you feel seen and support you in thinking differently and just seeing the world differently and reminding you who you are. Let me know if you want more detail. I could probably do an entire podcast on every single one of these points. I am just getting started, but this is what I know to be true in my life and my business. What I also know to be true is I love you and I think you're amazing. Have a beautiful day. That's all for today. Until next time, trust yourself, shine your light, and stay true to your heart and mind. Love you.